And welcome back, everyone. We begin with some currency news, an exciting one that is. The Ghana cedi is expected to replicate last year's performance in 2021. The cedi ended the first quarter of this year with a modest 0.6 percentage points appreciation against the US dollar and is the best performing currency in Africa. Now, that is good for business planning, as, for example, raw materials purchased with the dollar will remain relatively unchanged, whilst people's disposable income will also stay largely same unless something untoward happens. Joining me with some more perspective is Dr. Benjamin AMOAH, who is lead author with the Center for Economic Finance and Inequality Studies. He's also a banking and finance expert. Great to have you on this Easter Monday holiday, sir. So, impressive performance for the cedi. What is doing the trick, and was this anticipated?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, the cedi has performed wonderfully than we anticipated. And we will say that, again, it's back to the strategy that was adopted by Bank of Ghana. You know, the forward auction strategy is really working for the central bank. Why? Because this time around, the central bank requests that treasurers present planned purchase of dollars ahead of time, and the central bank makes these dollars available. So the speculative attack that the cedi used to experience before October 2009, to a large extent, has been relatively brought under check from the forward sales strategy adopted. So basically, for now, we say that is what is contributing to this wonderful performance of the Ghana cedi. So
CEFIS, your organization, predicted that the cedi would end the year at 6 cedis 45 pesos to the dollar, based on your concerns about our strategies for economic rebound post-COVID-19. Now, the budget has been read, and based on the outcomes you're seeing now, would you want to review that projection?
Okay, thank you very much. Our forecast was based on the cedi's performance for the past 25 years. And if you are forecasting, you don't use one period behavior to forecast. You need to observe the phenomenon you want to forecast over a long period and then come with a projection.
Right.
This current behavior of the cedi is something we are witnessing a little bit under 1 year, or maximum, let's say 1.5 years. So if you plug that into your long series of observation, you will not succeed in having any dramatic change in the phenomenon you want to forecast, unless we have enough observation from the current strategy. Then we can be getting closer to what is happening. So your answer to your question is that our forecast was based on the past 25 years performance of the cedi. Yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned the budget that was read. At least we have an idea how government hopes to manage the economy going forward. And so I'm going to ask you if you are optimistic we are going to sustain this trend, and really, how do we sustain these gains that we've made?
The budget promises a lot, and again, we have seen one aspect of the budget. When Ghana went onto the international market to borrow, our bonds was heavily oversubscribed. So again, it gives an indication of what investors around the world, in terms of their support and then their belief in our economy, are placing their bet on our economy. So if you look at our budget, and if you look at what the monetary policy stand is, if only we will keep to what we have planned to do, I will be committed, and the monetary aspect will also support the budget, because we are talking about fiscal and monetary aspect of the economy. If the two will work together, with the support from BOJ, I believe strongly that we will largely succeed in bringing some relative stability in the cedi's performance.
So we are getting an indication that we outperformed 15 currencies. That makes us the best on the continent. So how does that put us at an advantage compared with other African countries?
Again, it means that our economy is resilient. But then again, you see, if you look at economic data coming from COVID last year, realize that what we did for COVID, we over-prepared for COVID, because most of the reports coming out now is showing that economies have been more resilient, and the report coming out has not been as bad as it has been anticipated. So again, it goes back to buttress the point that yes, our economy was much stronger, and then it has placed us at a better place in terms of our currency position. No wonder our bonds are being subscribed heavily in the midst of all that we are seeing.
Thank you so much for your thoughts this afternoon. Dr. Benjamin AMOAH, he's lead author with CEFIS. He's also a banking and finance expert. We are grateful that you could join us this holiday. Thank you. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association is expressing worry that the inability of some West African countries to implement the trade liberalization scheme could undermine the smooth development of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. According to the union, Benin and to some extent Nigeria have not been complying with the trading rules, a situation it fears may undermine the trade pact. Vice President of GUTA, Clement Boateng, has been speaking with Joy Business.
Francophone countries to bring in the goods there without paying tariffs, but when the Anglophone countries bring in their goods, you want them to pay tariff. So nothing has been done to it, and we want the authorities to try as much as possible and address this problem, because it's having a very negative impact on our businesses.
As an organization, have you engaged the authorities officially on it?
Well, we have not engaged officially. We have not engaged the authorities officially, but I'm sure the AGI, that is the Association of Ghana Industries, have officially notified government, and as the days go by, I'm sure GUTA will also officially write to government to let them know what is actually happening.
Do you see that as a stumbling block for the after as well?
Yeah, it's a stumbling block because you know, I made a point that we live in Africa, and in Africa everything is possible. I don't think this can happen in Europe, because in Europe once you have appended your signature to any protocol or any convention, you are obliged to, you know, abide by it. But if you come to Africa, it's a different ball game altogether. Even though you have appended your signature to the protocols and convention, you acted contrary to it, and that has been the case of Nigeria, which they think they are the big powers in the sub-region, and they don't mind whether they've appended their signature to the protocols. With the ETLS, they have banned about 41 items, which they think they are protecting their local industry, and therefore they should not be allowed, you know, to be brought into their country. And now Benin also is following suit. I think it's not good, and it's about time, you know, the ECOWAS, you know, authorities have a look at this thing. Otherwise, it will come to a time that even though all the countries have signed on to the protocols, every country will try as much as possible to go contrary to it in order to protect its local industry, and therefore the protocols that they have signed become useless.
The Continental Free Trade Agreement, a former Oxford University professor of accounting and management practice, Dr. Noel Tego, says Ghana needs its banking sector to team up with other countries to fully benefit from the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Odilia Ntiamwa engaged Dr. Tego, who projects Ghana will become a subsidiary hub for many multinationals.
You cannot import and export without transportation infrastructure. So for those of us who are at the coast, we need very good ports to be able to handle those ones. So ensuring that ports work very well are important. And then for those who are inland, we need freight, other means of carrying freight, such as rail infrastructure and road infrastructure and other things like that. Those are pretty costly. In fact, indeed, even air infrastructure, so we have the common agreements over Africa. The whole issue is on generating markets and expanding out of that. So that's where you need a concerted effort, banks and others coming in. So for example, with VW here, I think banks should start looking at 3 areas of their own financing. Part of it is the normal trade finance issues, you know, so with the importing stuff, the exporting stuff, and so on. So what in the area of trade finance, that's key. And then you are likely, as things grow, to have a supporting sectoral base. in Ghana. I mean, so there will be parts, people supporting the car manufacturing industry.
All right, so the full conversation will air on Business Live. That is at 5 p.m. in the day. So make a date and let's talk about the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Now to tech stuff. One of Ghana's leading information and communication technology firms, Slam Technologies, in collaboration with Slam Foundation, has trained not less than 70 persons in help desk support for free. Chief Executive of Slam Technology, Samuel Boateng, says the aim of the two-week course is to support the youth build careers in IT space and also create jobs. There's more in the following report.
The two-week program was part of a long list of wide-ranging initiatives from Slam Technologies, which were aimed at deepening the use of ICT tools for problem solving and to ensure the skill sets of professionals within the country are at par with those anywhere on the globe. It's comprised instructor-led meetings and hands-on laboratory sessions. Samuel Boateng is the Chief Executive of Slam Technologies.
Help desk is one of the growing field in our generation because of the increase in devices and other tools and softwares and applications. So we decided that we want to organize a help desk program for those who needing to create their own self-employment jobs. And that is the reason why we came up with the help desk position. And so with the help desk, we started from components such as hard drives and softwares and internet. So we talk about everything. We fix PCs, we fix laptops. We talk about our charges and fees and everything. So these guys are equipped to open your PCs and replace your parts, to fix your hardwares and your softwares in any capacity that they have.
Top 5 performers were selected to intern with Slam Technologies and also received a pack of help desk support tools to aid their development. Overall best performing student Rita Abednego encouraged young females to venture into IT-related careers.
Okay, I don't only want to have the knowledge, but then I want to also have the ability to be able to impact, influence other ladies. You see, when I was home, I thought that the only way I could be able to go to school was having a good grade to school. And then when I joined Star Women and they introduced me to Slam Technologies, I've been able to explore so many things. I didn't know I had this background idea in technology. I've been able to do so many things. When it comes to IT now, I'm not only good with the storage, I'm not only good with the input, I'm good with some security stuff. I'm now conscious of some of the things that I didn't really particularly pay attention to. So I'm not only taking it for myself, I'm going out there to influence women. I'm going to explore and volunteer as well to non-organizations.
The Slam Technologies Help Desk Support Training was in partnership with Star Women Foundation.
Well, meanwhile, government is being urged to invest in acquiring the services of organizations which are well equipped to protect the country's cybersecurity space. According to Chief Executive of Slam Technology, Samuel Boateng, even though the country has enough policies to regulate the cyberspace, there's a need to employ entities with the technical know-how to enforce these policies.
Ghana, I believe there are a lot of policies, but there are not enough doing. And so I believe that if we talk about policies and implement it with the monitoring, we'll be able to sweep off the nation and then get rid of maybe some cyber attacks and other things that goes on in our infrastructures. I believe Ghana is getting a lot of fundings, but it depends on the way and then the kind of training that they are putting it out there. And some of the fundings definitely, I believe, goes to the government for training cybersecurity, and that is why government is setting up a lot of cybersecurity centers. But then we need the right company, right organization to train them. It's not everyone that says I'm a cybersecurity organization that understand the workings of a cyber, performing a very deep, insightful analysis on a log, identifying the patterns of the attacks. So Slam Technology is here. That is what we do best on this. We take the logs, we ingest it, and then identify every traffic pattern that is coming from, and then we can stop it, we can block it, or reduce the attack. If you've been to outside the country, every organization have their cybersecurity infrastructure. So if you have a state, the state will have the infrastructure as well. So the same thing in the region, we should have the infrastructure and we should be able to organize the right people to do the investigation on those logs.
Now, big news in the tech world to report this afternoon. LG Electronics says it would close down its loss-making smartphone business. In January, the South Korean electronics giant said it was looking at all options for the division after almost 6 years of losses totaling around $4.5 billion. Now, LG had made many innovations, including ultra-wide angle cameras, rising to third largest smartphone maker in 2013. But bosses said the mobile phone market had become incredibly competitive. Let's bring in our in-house tech expert, also host of Geek Squad on Joy FM, Kobe Spike Nkrumah. Great to see you this holiday, Kobe. Just how tough was the competition for LG smartphone business that it has decided to opt out?
Well, the competition has been very tough. For some years now, LG has been struggling to make sales, with competitors like Samsung and Apple in the industry. It's been very difficult for them to match up to those competitors. And clearly they have some very good devices, but one would say what happened to the likes of Nokia, Motorola, and Sony Ericsson, it happened to them, and even HTC is happening to them.
Well, being number 3 on the market is not bad. I guess the losses were not helping. So is it the case we're not marketing well enough? What was it about the smartphones that really didn't catch on?
They were actually doing well in the lower markets, not in the mid-range and the high range. But being number 3 doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually even making money. Number 1 is probably taking 40% of the pie, and then number 2 takes about another 30%.
That makes
and then
sense.
What's left is just about what you call 30% for everybody else to share. And it's a huge market out there. You have competitors like Xiaomi and Huawei in China, where the population is actually huge, and they would rather purchase natively owned businesses like Huawei and Xiaomi and even Oppo and Vivo. So LG was really having a hard time.
Well, earlier, and you also mentioned that I talked about some innovations LG introduced, like the ultra-wide angle cameras. Now, despite the market being challenging, they made an impact, no?
Yes, they made a huge impact. I mean, the last flagship device they released was the LG Wing, which is a slidable phone which goes from a soap, the usual shape we know, into like a T form. And that's never before seen. They were still putting in DACs as a digital audio amplifier in their phones, and most smartphones were not doing that. They still had headphone jacks in some of their phones. Most smartphones weren't doing that. They even still had the IR blaster in their phones. And it's just, I think it's more like when people become used to a certain brand, they stick to that brand for a very long time, and it's very difficult to get them to sway.
The last phone I used before the one I'm using right now was an LG phone. It was pretty cool. And so for the users who are wondering, so what happens to my LG phone then if LG is going to close its smartphone division? What does it mean, that I can't use my phone anymore?
No, you can't. That's a good question. A lot of people have been asking me that question, like, what am I going to do with my old LG phone? It's still going to work. LG says they're going to support it for a while. And depending on the region you're in, they'll continue to provide support for it. They'll continue to, send updates to it, security patches, and all that stuff. But the phones that are on the market will still sell, but they're not going to be making new ones. So yeah, gradually we're bidding farewell to a very good tech player in the industry.
That's settled. So where does that leave competition in the smartphone business? We know Samsung and Apple are the 2 biggest market players. What do we watch?
Well, Samsung doesn't seem to be coming down at all. They are all the way up there. Apple also. Huawei was really coming up to match with them. until the whole, Google, US, and Huawei fiasco, which caused them to come down a bit, come down the market share, drop down the market share a bit. But it's good news for the other competition, i.e. Samsung, because they're more international, and Apple. But it hasn't really been, LG has not really had that impact for them to say, oh, now LG's out of the game, we're going to enjoy a larger market share. I think it's still going to be the bottom few who are going to share in the spoils.
Okay, a final one. I think my producer wants me to ask you this. I hope I capture his question right. Now, so they've exited the smartphone business, but what's going to be the impact on the business in itself? Because we know that they are good when it comes to other stuff like the OLED TVs and all of that. Just stopping this one to concentrate on the others, where does that leave the business in the future?
Well, LG is still very good at other things. LG is one of the best TV manufacturers, home appliances. LG has their Think AI, which is powering most of their home appliances, and it's also they're leaving this industry, the mobile industry, doesn't mean that it's going to affect them marginally. They're going to focus most of that energy into all the other stuff that they do, like mobility, artificial intelligence. There's a lot of things that LG is doing that people don't know. So, yeah, I think it's not really going to be. It has dented them a bit because they've been making losses and all that research and development. But I think, patents and stuff, maybe they could sell them to other players in the industry.
And I'm pretty sure they thought this through. They did.
Definitely.
Yeah. Kobe, Spike, and Kuma, thanks so much for spending time with us this holiday. I appreciate it. Now, players in the poultry industry have been schooled on various issues to position them for bigger opportunities going forward. Now, this was by kind courtesy, the United States Department of Agriculture under the Ghana Poultry Project. The business bootcamp also afforded them opportunity to secure some grants to invest in their business. Emma Davis participated and brings us this report.
According to Winfred Kumi, Senior Investment Associate at AV Ventures, the fundamentals of all successful businesses are similar. He further explained some key points to ensuring the success of poultry business.
The fundamentals of all successful businesses are similar. Whether big or small, if you would succeed, you would invariably need to respect the principles of doing business. There are two major sources of finance, and these are based on the life cycle of the business that you are involved in. The first would be equity, which some people will refer to as shares, or your ownership within the business. And then the second is debt, which is essentially borrowing money from an individual or a corporate entity under specific terms over a specific period of time. So the types of investors that would likely be interested in a growth stage business would be one, a strategic investor. There are also private equity firms. The last category I'll speak about under the growth will be commercial banks.
Dr. Kojo Tufo, Deputy Director of Research and Consultancy at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, says marketing is key in every business and poultry is no exception. Hence, his decision to volunteer in training the mentees to having a business mind.
I got involved in the Ghana Poultry Project basically to help each cohort that the Ghana Poultry Project selects for a training. And my main function is to help them in developing the business plan, to have the ideas they have. The value chain of poultry is large, and so the cohorts or the individuals will decide on which aspect of the value chain they want to concentrate on. There are those that want to rear the birds, there are those that want to sell eggs, there are those that want to go into other aspects of feeding and all that, other aspects of the poultry value chain. And so my main function, my role in the Ghana Poultry Project is to train them to have a business plan.
Meanwhile, Karen Deboa, Chief of Party of the Ghana Poultry Project, has encouraged the mentees not to give up when it gets difficult because every business faces challenges.
As far as I know, from each aspect in the value chain, you heard about it, you've seen it, so there are different opportunities within the value chain. Be like what has been said already, be innovative. Don't be afraid. Fear is something which might hold you back. But like what all the other people who have a lot of experience, who are already in the game for a longer time, they all experience challenges. Even in our project, we experience challenges. It's not only in business. I can tell you, we have to go different ways as well when things are not going the right way. Even if you are an employee, you might face challenges. You will face challenges, and you have to step up after you're falling.
And that's the marketplace. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There's plenty more to read this holiday. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching.